Arsenal has scored many goals, but imagine having a striker that combines Erling Haaland's power, Lewandowski's finishing, and Gabriel Jesus' work rate all in one. Viktor Gyökeres could be that game changer, and here's why. From starting his career in Sweden, to moving to Brighton, to making a name for himself in Coventry, to becoming one of the world's most lethal strikers in Sporting CP, Viktor Gyökeres has gone from just being a threat in the Championship to one of Europe's most lethal strikers. But what makes him perfect for us now? Let's get into it. Viktor Gyökeres began his career in Brommapojkarna in Sweden, but in 2017 he made the switch to Brighton in the Premier League. However, he didn't play any games in the Premier League for Brighton, and they loaned him to St. Pauli in the German second division. After a season with St. Pauli, Gyökeres returned back to Brighton, where he was loaned yet again to Swansea City in the Championship. His spell in Swansea wasn't that successful, and of course he moved again to another Championship club, which was Coventry City. However, Coventry took a punt on him, bought him from Brighton, and when they got into his own in Coventry, Gyökeres became a very prolific striker in the Championship. And at the end of his time in Coventry, he had scored 40 goals in 97 games before making a move to Sporting CP 2 seasons ago. In Gyökeres' first season under Ruben Amorim in Sporting CP, he scored 43 goals in 50 games. But his record in the next season was even crazier. In the Nations League, Gyökeres had 5.2 shots per game, scoring 9 goals for Sweden, creating 4 assists in just 6 appearances. In the Portuguese Primeira Liga, Gyökeres averaged 4.2 shots per game, scoring 39 goals in the Portuguese League, creating 7 assists in 33 games. Of course, the Champions League wasn't left out, as Gyökeres averaged 3 shots per game in the Champions League, scoring 6 goals, which included a magnificent hat-trick against Man City in 8 games. At the end of last season, Gyökeres had scored 63 goals in 56 games for both club and country. That was an outstanding record that was no better than any other striker in Europe. The only striker that used to give numbers like this back in the day were Messi and Ronaldo. And of course, they're yesteryear now, playing in Saudi Arabia and in the MLS, and we won't see those kind of numbers from them anymore, even though we're not still having crazy numbers in the Saudi League. But what's key to know here is that Gyökeres played in the same European campaign with the likes of Erling Haaland, with the likes of Lewandowski, with the likes of Alexander Isak, with the likes of Kylian Mbappe, who are like the biggest strikers in the world right now, and they eclipsed all of them last season. What are the key attributes of Viktor Gyökeres? First up, his physicality and strength is second to none. Gyökeres is a big and imposing bully. If you watch his games in Sporting CP, you can see how he uses his physicality to great effect to, harry defenders, take them in stride before finishing the goals. And most times he showed his great strength when clashing against several defenders in the league as well as the Champions League. Gyökeres is also known for his great pressing and work rate, and that really helped him and his club Sporting CP to stifle opposition defenses from the back. Most teams have kind of worked with the trend of building from the back, but having a striker like Gyökeres who presses a lot, put a lot of defenders on lock, made them have a lot of defenses, and timed that number, he stole the ball from some of those defenders and went ahead to finish them. His finishing ability is second to none. In the last 4 seasons, Gyökeres has scored 137 goals in 199 games. That is exemplary. Gyökeres is also someone that will not require any adaptation in England, bearing in mind that he has actually spent some time in a Premier League club and even went to the trenches of the Championship. You know how the Championship is, where they play up to 46 games per season, compared to the Premier League that played 38 games. And Gyökeres was a very, very vital piece in the Coventry Cup machine. Gyökeres is also known for his predatory instincts, who locks in behind the defenders, waiting for that beautiful pass to finish it off. It's not all about linking up play. He does that, no doubt, but he's more of finishing the chances that have been created by his teammates because of his elite finishing ability. His off-the-ball movement is amazing. He goes into the inside channels a lot, and that really helps Sporting to play a certain way because Pedro Gonçalves and Francisco Trincao always knew what to do with Gyökeres ahead of them. And of course, he scored so many goals to great effect. So last season, Arsenal went into the summer with the plans to sign Benjamin Sesko. While the talks were progressing, Sheshko changed his mind, signed a new contract with the gentleman's agreement that he will leave at the end of the campaign. What we expected as Arsenal fans was for the club to go and pivot to a new target, but that never happened. Arteta basically trusted Kai Havertz, who came into the club in the season ago as an attacking midfielder, and Gyokeres Jesus, who was still having some injury challenges that he was trying to mitigate. So going into the season without a recognized centre forward was a disaster, especially with the fact that we had sold Folarin Balogun in the previous year and sold Edin Ketia in the summer. Gyokeres Jesus went through 33 games without scoring a goal before he finally scored against Preston North End. They managed to pick up a purple patch when he scored Crystal Palace 5 times in a couple of days, only to suffer an ACL injury in the FA Cup match against Manchester United. That meant that Arsenal had only one recognized striker going into the transfer window. What did you do about that? Nothing. There was only a team move for Oli Watkins late in the window, but when they sold John Duran to Al Nassr, they had to pull back, and I guess the bid was also good enough. Arsenal went into the Dubai warm weather training break, and Kai Havertz suffered a hamstring injury after the transfer window had been closed. So what did we do? We had to pivot to using Mikel Merino, who was a box-to-box midfielder, as our centre forward from February till basically May, which meant that in our key games, especially in the Champions League, where Arsenal was gunning for the trophy for the first time, Merino was our centre forward, and we all know how that panned out. No disrespect to Merino, he actually did well under the circumstances, but Merino is not a striker. Merino was not supposed to be Arsenal centre forward with the strikers injured. So that was a travesty. Arsenal missed a striker that could play as a traditional number 9 who would just be at the end of chances to score, because as we know, the club is very creative. The last time Arsenal had a striker that was in this mode was our former captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who played for the club, scored many goals, and of course left in acrimonious circumstances. And since Aubameyang left the club, Arsenal had not replaced him. Edin Ketia was not a replacement, and certainly wasn't Kai Havertz. Arsenal lacked a forward that could bully centre-backs, a forward that could go into those open spaces, a forward that could go into those inside channels to free his teammates to attack. And of course, at the end of the last campaign, I think I made it clear that the club was short. And that was very, very, very evident in the way the Premier League campaign pelted out. 3 seasons ago, Arsenal were leading for 248 days before crashing out after a bad run of results. 2 seasons ago, Arsenal went all the way to 89 points and lost on the final day to Man City. But last season was terrible. Liverpool won the league as early as April. Arsenal was supposed to be second, were even at some point getting towards the folks that were third, that's Man City and Nottingham and the rest, because of the way we struggled in attack. Arsenal had an unprecedented 14 draws last season, and in those 14 draws, the club led in 9 games. Imagine if they had a centre forward that could finish up those chances when they were leading 1-0 instead of getting a draw from the opposition. So how would a striker like Gyökeres fit into Arteta's tactical system? First off, Gyökeres is very great at hold-up play. That will allow the likes of Saka and Martinelli to cut in, because as a hold-up play, he drags the defenders to him, leaving up space in behind the defense. And of course, as we know, he can also pick a pass. And those kind of passes can actually allow folks like Martinelli and Saka to get clean on goal and score. Gyökeres is also very good at pressing from the front. Right now, the only player that actually presses for the front very well is Odegaard. Now imagine having Odegaard and Gyökeres pressing the position defenders from the front. That would allow Arsenal to attack in a certain type of way. That is something that Arteta would really love, because Kai Havertz doesn't press as much as Odegaard. But Gyökeres has bags and bags of energy to burn to press, and we're going to see that when he joins the club. Gyökeres is also very capable of running in behind defenses, and this is very, very, very important for low blocks. Most teams are trying to defend deep. There's sometimes that in transition play, all he needs is a perfect pass from the likes of Odegaard or Declan Rice or Saka or even Martinelli, and he's clean on goal. There are no times when he takes it on the stride to create a chance for himself, but he has that elite ability, and great off the ball movement to go in behind the defense and get a chance for himself to score. Someone like Gyökeres will also allow Odegaard cook. Odegaard has not really had a striker that he can cook with. He has basically been playing with Saka on the right-hand side of the attack, but there's no striker that can actually go in behind the defense for him to give a beautiful through pass, like what he did to Calafiori when Arsenal played PSV. But we saw like Gyökeres in our ranks, Odegaard will have more chances to create those kind of passes that cut like hot knife through butter. Those are the kind of passes that we are going to expect from Odegaard now that Gyökeres is now on show. Another thing that Gyökeres offers Arteta is clinical finishing. Since Aubameyang, Arsenal has lacked a clinical finisher. Most times we need to have 4 or 5 chances before we score the first goal. But with someone like Gyökeres, he might just need only 1 chance to score. As you can see from his numbers, his finishing is elite. His finishing is lethal. And in games where Arsenal are struggling and we need someone to bail us out, we have a striker that we can now count on to help us do that. Are there any potential risks in this deal? Probably. But someone like Gyökeres will not have any need for adaptation. The fee was very decent. I really love Andrea Beta for what he did there, getting a very good deal, even though there was some drama around the add-ons. But we got the deal over the line, which is what matters. There's going to be some pressure for Gyökeres to deliver, but if you look at the last interview he did with L'Equipe, he was very, very adamant on how he's coming for revenge, how he wants to show everyone that he's the next best thing. In a team that creates chances for fun, Gyökeres can be that 30-goal striker Arsenal have been waiting for. So what do you think? Is Gyökeres the missing piece in Arteta's puzzle? Please drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe. Till then, come on you Gunners.